you heard a couple of comments in those fights, like outside the playoff landscape and still what it means. You can't put a price tag on what it means to the players to be able to play in the Rose Bowl, but some of that's changed. I mean, even Ohio State, as important as it is to Big Ten teams, they've had 4 starters choose not to play. You mentioned Kyron Williams choosing not to play in the Fiesta Bowl for Notre Dame, all within the players' rights. I don't know what the answer is, but I think the answer is not trying to pay them, although you can, but to try to put some stakes and attach them to the bowl, and that might be where we talk restructured playoff. That's what's going to motivate players to stay till the end of the season.
Expanded playoffs is what we're talking about, right? Like
we
need more games that the kids think matter. Like this, I know this matters a lot to you. I don't know how much it matters to a lot of kids nowadays. We've seen that with the Sugar Bowl. We've seen that with all over the place. Like, it's diminished. But if it was a part of a chance to play for a championship, I think you would have more guys continue to stay on board. I'm not sure. I'm not saying it would change the outcome, by the way. We expand the playoffs. I'm not saying we're going to have more competitive games. We barely have competitive semifinals.
We don't.
But we would have more people with more stake in the game for longer. So I think you'd see a resurgence of the bowls, and it'd be good.
I want to ask you guys this, because you're older like me on this. What's the difference between the playoff era, when we're all trying to get to the playoff, and when you don't get to the playoff, what's the point? Versus going back to your era, or your era as a fan watching and covering these games, or mine, and you wanted to go to a national championship, but sometimes you fell short, and you went to the Citrus Bowl or the Outback Bowl or the Alamo Bowl or the Holiday Bowl, and you just went and you played. Like, and I know is it just the money, the amount of money? Like, what's the difference as a player in saying these games are meaningless when, Des, we played in quote unquote meaningless games? I mean, I know you guys were here a lot, but I just don't understand. If you don't make it to the playoff, how is it meaningless to play football and compete? Isn't that what we do as football players? We compete. So I don't know if changing and expanding it is going to change anything. I really don't. I think this era of player just doesn't love football.
That's what I was about to say. We're dealing with a total different mentality when we're dealing with these student athletes nowadays, especially the football players. I mean, their whole mentality right now is about the championship, the playoff. We got to get into the CFB or the CFP. And because of that, they don't value the bowl games. Now, when we were coming up, Herbstreit and myself, like, to go to a bowl game was a huge reward for a fantastic season. That's what it meant. It's like, okay, your team played this well, so you're going to be rewarded by going to this bowl game. You're going to get a ring. You're going to get swag. Now, kids don't really care about that. They have a sense of entitlement, and it's like, if we're not going to the one that matters, then, it just doesn't have as much value to them as it did us growing up.
I think it's changed, and I do want to give you a chance to clarify, because that was a pretty sweeping comment that players don't love football.
Not all of them.
Right. I just want to make sure that people don't misunderstand.
Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Every coach that I talk to in the country, when I'm breaking down a roster, I'm going over there too deep in a production meeting, and one of the things they'll say to me on a guy that, like N'Kobe Dean, this guy loves ball.
Right.
And I'll be like, when they first started to say that to me, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
But now I'm starting to realize, like, no, this guy's a gym rat. Like, he'd be here, even if we didn't ask him to be here, he'd be here. And that's becoming more rare.
Exactly.
And the reason that's becoming more rare is they have so many distractions. They have this, and they have video games, and they just don't grow up with the same passion, I think, we had. There's some that still do, but I don't think as many. And my point is, on meaningless bowl games, what's this going to lead to? Once you establish yourself like a Brock Bowers, every game he plays, if that's the lens you're choosing to look at, the end goal is the NFL.
Right.
Brock Bowers, the rest of his career, games are meaningless. He's already a first round. He's already an NFL. He's an NFL tight end right now. His next 2 years, he has 2 years to play.
Right.
He shouldn't play. If his goal is to go to the NFL, sit out the next 2 years. Don't play. Go work out. Go to Phoenix. Lift. Get ready. Once you've established yourself as an NFL player, games are meaningless, I guess, through the lens of the way some of these guys look. I think that's what it's going to lead to next. Skip bowl games, skip regular season. Why play?
I hope not.
I think is where it might go.
I hope not.
But I don't know if it's going to be that widespread. There might be an occasional
What's the difference between a bowl game not mattering and the Akron game? Well, why does the Akron game matter?
Well, it's because for part of the season that it unfolds. I understand your point. I'm not saying that you're wrong about that necessarily, but I still think that even if the players view the end game or the bowl games a little differently than maybe you guys did growing up or I did as a fan, I think most guys still play football because they like to play football. Maybe I'm old school or naive about that, but I think they do.
Right, exactly.
I think they do.
I think I'd love to say we could tie NIL stuff more to playing and like making sure you're there, so you're getting paid but you're also all your stuff is concluded in games. But you'd also have people that don't want to be there, which is the other side of the coin. Here's the difference to me. When I grew up and when y'all grew up, I think it started to change. I think towards my generation, but. You used to go play for the Ohio State logo, and it meant a lot.
Sure.
You used to play for the M, and it meant a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if the players necessarily means as much to them to play for their school. They're like, I can go to any school I want, and I can have success.
Totally agree.
As opposed to, I think you used to have a lot of pride in that G. Like we had a lot of pride in that G, and it meant something. And like when I had a chance to play in the Outback Bowl after we played in the Sugar Bowl, and to end my senior season, it's not where I wanted to be. I didn't want to be in the Outback Bowl. Like no disrespect to the Outback Bowl, I want to win a championship.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
I played in the game because I wanted to play with my team, and I loved it. That stuff.
I just want to clarify one thing real quick, and I totally agree with what you're saying. There are players that have that lens, it's NFL or bust mentality, and whether they go to Texas or Ohio State or Michigan or wherever, it doesn't matter.
Right.
There are no roots there. There are those players that fit in that category. There are other players that fit into the category we're talking about. There are people who love football, people who love that G, love that M, love the scarlet and gray. It's like you said, you can't throw a blanket over everybody, but there are guys that view it differently.
So maybe it starts at youth league sport level.
Well,
maybe it starts at the very bottom.
And it's not just that. Some of it is everything that you do that's good has a bad side to it.
Yeah.
The playoff is good. The fact that we got the best teams playing each other for the championship, which we didn't used to have, that's good.
Yeah,
but the flip side of it is that it's diminished some other things, and it's also because of all of the attention and all of the revenue it generates. There's a focus now on just those games because that's the ultimate, and everything
but the
else
BCS
seems like
used to just focus on the top game.
Right,
but
exactly.
Before that, games are still fine.
Yeah, they're
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.